They spent the last 3.5 years behind bars, accused of throwing rocks onto I-75, killing a Mount Morris man. Well, today, 3 of the 5 Clio teenagers charged in Kenneth White's death were released. Good afternoon, Mid-Michigan. I'm Dawn Jones. Our Ann Perrette was there when the teens walked out of the Genesee County Jail. She joins us now live from outside the jail. Only on ABC 12. Ann, you spoke with one of the 3 going home today. What did he have to say?
Yes, this is actually the first time we're hearing from one of the 5 teenagers charged. And I can tell you from covering this since it happened in October 2017, these boys are definitely older. And now they want their community to know that they're wiser, too.
There was never an intention to hurt anybody, period. That was never an intention. That was never talked about. That was never even thought about. So I just wanted to express that the most, and I truly am sorry for my participation in this situation.
McCaden Payne is now 19 years old. He had just turned 15 when he and 4 other friends threw rocks over the Dodge Road overpass onto I-75 the night of October 18th, 2017. One of those rocks hit the work van Kenneth White was riding in, killing him.
I've often thought, what if that was my dad in this situation? How would I feel? And what would I want to happen to the people that were involved? So all of their emotions are completely understandable. And again, I could only imagine how they're feeling.
Payne says he's had a lot of time to reflect and think about his actions, admitting to me what he did was wrong. Today, his attorney Mike Manley walked Payne out of the Genesee County Jail to his family. His adult charges are officially dismissed, the result of a Michigan Court of Appeals decision. Manley went to that court after a Genesee County judge refused to sentence his client as a juvenile. Manley argued a juvenile detention center would rehabilitate the teenager much better than a prison. Now he's saying the Ignite program at the jail did just that.
McCaden was able to get his GED. He was able to take algebra classes, finance classes, and he's going to be a productive member of our community because of the evolution of law enforcement with Sheriff Swanson and his staff.
And you definitely learn to think ahead. And because I'm in here for not thinking ahead, that's probably why I'm so for it now, thinking ahead.
And the next step is the prosecutor reinstating the charges. We're expecting them to now be charged as juveniles instead of adults. That is expected to happen next week. But again, Payne's defense attorney says that he believes that these 4 have served enough time. I asked the prosecutor if he agrees with that. He says he's, quote, undecided, but a family court judge will also weigh in on that final decision. Live in Flint, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
It's still a nightmare. Still a nightmare, and it probably will be forever.
The father of Kenneth White reacting to the news that 3 of 5 teens charged in his death are now walking free. White, a Mount Morris man, was killed in October 2017 after a rock smashed through the windshield of the car he was riding in. We first told you yesterday Michigan's appeals court okayed dropping adult charges against the 4 younger suspects. And today, the 3 who had been locked up were released. It's the latest twist in a 3.5-year-long saga and yet another day without closure for the victim's family. Only on ABC 12. Ann Perrette got a chance to talk with White's family today about this news. Ann?
Right, and Kenneth's dad tells me that he understood the court order but didn't know that the 3 would be released today. He would have liked to be here.
Even when they were locked up in jail, they got to see him, they got to talk to him. They took that away from us.
It's been 3 years and 7 months since 32-year-old Kenneth White died driving home from work on I-75 in Vienna Township.
It's hard, every day, every day. It was my best friend. And I try to move forward, and it affects my life, it affects my relationship, it affects everything.
They weren't only best friends. The father and son shared the same name. Kenneth White wanted 10 years for each of the 5 charged with killing his son. In January, the oldest, accused of throwing the deadly rock, was released from prison. Today, charges were dropped against the other 4, and they walked out of jail.
We just got to go with it and deal with it, Okay, we're not happy about it, but we can't change it.
The prosecutor is expected to reissue the charges in juvenile court next week. It's not clear if the now 18 and 19-year-olds will have to serve any more time. White was okay with the juvenile sentence and is still hoping they'll serve time in a detention center until they each turn 21. On top of that,
You should have to send my grandson money every week to support him. That's just the way I feel. That would be a good thing, because then every week when they write that check, they would think about that, what they did.
and White says his grandson is now 9 years old and looks just like his dad, which is tough. I asked if he believes in second chances, and he says he does, but after the right amount of time has been served. Live in Flint, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
Our top story tonight, we are expecting new charges this week for the 4 younger teenagers accused of throwing rocks off the Genesee County overpass, killing a man. Now, this is the latest twist in a 3.5-year-long saga.
We first reported last Thursday Michigan's appeals court okayed dropping adult charges in favor of juvenile ones. A day later, the 3 suspects who had been locked up were released. The 4th bonded out last summer.
In an interview you will only see on ABC 12, our Ann Perrette spoke with that 4th suspect, Alexander Miller, about what he's been up to this past year and what he's learned.
Alexander Miller tells me the 15-year-old boy he was standing here throwing rocks over this Dodge Road overpass onto I-75 is not who he is now. Miller says he didn't intend to hurt anyone, let alone kill someone, that October night in 2017. He reached out asking to share who he's become.
I believe it wasn't so much that we didn't think anything was going to happen, it's just we didn't think that far that anything was going to happen. I blame myself for being so gullible and being so open to just do whatever.
Accountability and responsibility. That's what the now 19-year-old says he learned behind bars. Miller arrived to the local juvenile center as a sophomore in high school, but his education level put him in 5th grade.
I was just some ignorant kid, didn't want to listen, didn't want to take directions, wasn't responsible. The staff there and their strict rules and their program taught me to listen to my elders and to respect everybody around me. I became obedient.
After a year in the county jail, Miller requested bond last summer to take care of his sick grandparents and single mom. He's been on a GPS tether, only allowed to leave home during the week for the job he's held for about a year now.
I don't ask to be completely forgiven, to just move on from everything and forget it ever happened, but I do ask to be allowed the opportunity to move forward with my life as well. And if anything is needed, I will be there and be willing to help their family out with anything that they need.
Miller understands when the prosecutor reissues their charges this week, he could be sent to a juvenile detention center. He says he's ready to prove he's not a danger to his community and won't repeat his past behavior.
And that'll always make me want to be a better person because of what happened. I won't live from my past, but I will live off of it.
Another thing we talked about, Miller is hopeful parents can use his bad actions here to teach their kids what not to do. In Vienna Township, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News. Yes, the 4 younger teens are now just charged with manslaughter. They did plead guilty to it today, and because they're in juvenile court, this plea will not result in a felony conviction, meaning they will not have this on their adult record. They are not considered convicted felons. 3 of them also won't spend any more time behind bars. I spoke to defense attorney Mike Manley. He says he understands that the community may be frustrated by this.
They weren't adults. They were 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and their brains weren't developed. And I'm not making any excuses. There has to be accountability, all right? And they were held to account.
Today, admitting to throwing rocks over Vienna Township's Dodge Road overpass onto I-75 the night of October 18th, 2017. 32-year-old Kenneth White, riding in a vehicle below, died when one of those rocks smashed through his windshield. Adult charges were dropped against the 4 on May 28th. That is the first time 3 of the boys left jail since they were arrested. After a month of working everything out, the new agreement says those 3 will serve probation for 1 year, abide by a curfew, and they're likely going to have to do community service. The fourth, Alexander Miller, who bonded out last summer, will serve another 330 days to even out his time behind bars with the others. They each also had a parent or guardian in the courtroom today to agree to that plea and that the teens will be in their custody moving forward.
Our community needs to understand they need to be part of this as well. And we have to move forward, acknowledge Mr. White, keep his memory alive, but at some point in time, the punishment has been meted out and it's time to move forward in a positive way.
And the Genesee County prosecutor issued a statement to me today saying that these four served more time than Kyle Enger, who admitted to throwing the deadly rock. He was convicted of second-degree murder in October of 2019. He was released from prison after serving 39 months this past January. Now, coming up tonight at 6, I've been reaching out to Kenneth White's family, hearing from them on their thoughts on what appears to be an end to this case. Live in Flint, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.
3 of the 4 younger teens charged in Kenneth White's death won't spend any more time behind bars. The 32-year-old father died more than 3.5 years ago. Today, those younger teens also admitted their role in his death, throwing rocks from a Genesee County freeway overpass. Our Ann Perrette has been covering this case since it happened in October 2017. So, Ann, how is White's family reacting to today's news?
Well, today's hearing was kept pretty quiet. The family telling me that many of them just found out about it yesterday, so they weren't able to change their plans last minute to be here today. White's aunt did attend by video thanks to Zoom, and I called White's father after the hearing to fill him in on what happened. He tells me he's not happy, but understands that he can't change the judicial system, can't change the court's mind, and tragically, nothing will bring his son back.
At the very least, you were grossly negligent in aiding and abetting Mr. Anger in the killing of Kenneth White.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One by one, Trevor Gray, Mark Sikelski, McCaden Payne, and Alexander Miller admitted to throwing rocks over Vienna Township's Dodge Road overpass onto I-75 the night of October 18th, 2017. Now in juvenile court, they pleaded guilty to manslaughter for Kenneth White's death.
Even when they were locked up in jail, they got to see him, they got to talk to him. They took that away from us.
Kenneth White's dad wanted 10 years for each of the 5 charged with killing his son. He spoke to us the day the 3 younger teens were released from jail on May 28th. Their charges dropped, the result of a Michigan Court of Appeals decision. Today, a month later, we learned the 3 released that day won't serve any more time. The 4th, Alexander Miller, who bonded out last summer, will serve another 330 days to even out his time behind bars with the others, a total of 43 months. The prosecutor and defense pointing out that's longer than the 5th teen, Kyle Enger, who admitted to throwing the deadly rock. He served 39 months for second-degree murder.
They availed themselves to programming and got educated. They kept their noses clean and were not disciplinary problems, and they are back with their families, and all of them are gainfully employed and doing well. That is a success story for our justice system.
And the 3 out on time served will be sentenced to 1-year probation next month. That will likely entail both a curfew and community service. Miller is expected to receive that same sentence after his 333 more days are served. And because this case is in the juvenile system now, none of these 4 are expected to have a criminal felony conviction on their record. Live in Flint, I'm Ann Perrette, ABC 12 News.